Washington. The Trump administration will penalize legal immigrants who rely on public programs, such as food stamps and government-subsidized housing, as part of a sweeping new policy to slow legal immigration into the United States and reduce the number of immigrants who are granted permanent legal status. The move will have the greatest impact on poor immigrants who are living in the country legally and are receiving public benefits from the government, forcing them to make a choice between accepting financial help and living and working in the country legally. It will probably not affect immigrants who already have green cards. The United States wants immigrants who can support themselves, according to the rule, not those who depend on public resources to meet their needs, according to the new rule. The regulation, which is scheduled to go into effect in 60 days, will provide the Trump administration a powerful new tool to narrow the demographic of people who come to live and work in the country. Immigration advocates have pledged to sue the administration in an attempt to block the new regulation from going into effect. Tens of thousands of people opposed the rule in a public comment period over the past several months. The regulation, also known as the Public Charge Rule, was published in the Federal Register Monday morning with the following acknowledgement: while some commenters provided support for the rule, the vast majority of commenters opposed the rule. The rule has been the top priority of Stephen Miller, the architect of President Trump's immigration agenda, who views it as the most significant change to regulations that had encouraged migrants to come to the United States. Mr. Miller has repeatedly pushed administration officials to finish the rule, at one point telling colleagues that he wanted them to work on nothing other than the public charge rule until it was completed. Some officials, including L. Francis Cisna, the former director of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, had resisted the rush to finish the rule, drafts of which were several hundred pages long and very complicated. But Mr. Cisna was forced out of his position earlier this year and replaced by Kenneth T. Cuccinelli II, a former attorney general in Virginia and an immigration hardliner who shares Mr. Miller's view that immigrants are a drain on taxpayer dollars.
Alright, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, because that's where I learned this truth from, through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Yahweh is the true name of the God of Israel. Yahweh Shai is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahweh Shai. And pretty much, this is, news that I just found out. So pretty much, in 60 days, Donald Trump is going to clamp down hard on you immigrants, all right? Mainly, you so-called West Indians, you so-called Hispanics, Native American Indians. Trump, he's tired of you pretty much, all right? The slogan of Trump is what? Make America great again, which involves what? Getting rid of these so-called West Indians and Hispanics, because y'all Israelites, all right? And really anybody that's here, quote unquote, illegally, which we know this land belongs to the so-called, Hispanics and Native American Indians. But, the point is, his slogan, Make America Great Again, means to pretty much, go back in the spirit of slavery, all right? Because what did Donald Trump say? He declared something called the humanitarian crisis. His argument is that, the so-called Mexicans and the Hispanics that come here, they're sending their quote-unquote bad people. And this is going to give them another reason to what? To chip people. Because if you understand Bible prophecy, the mark of the beast is the RFID chip implant. So they're going to be tracking people soon, all right? It's going to be a mandatory event that's going to take place where every citizen is going to be required to have an RFID chip implant, which is the mark of the beast. But according to biblical prophecy, everybody will not be taking this chip, all right? So what's getting ready to happen before that happens, you're going to have a global economic collapse. And what happens during a global economic collapse? A great global recession. You have a stock market crash. The value of the dollar is going to be at 0%. It's going to be worthless because they're transitioning to a cashless society. So in order for them to transition and get the minds of you people to accept the New World Order, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to get rid of these government programs. Because in order to receive your government programs, you're going to need the chip, the RFID chip implant, which can store 20,000 pages of information. Roughly every RFID chip implant has 2,000 megabytes of data. All right, so all your information is going to be on this chip. You won't be able to buy or sell. When your EBT, comes in, that's coming in electronically, digital. And that's what they're doing. This is how they are going to pretty much force and condition you people to take this RFID chip implant. And a lot of you will be deceived. Lowell, and I'm not one of them. A lot of you will be deceived and you will take this because you won't see it as a big deal. You'll just see it as, my family got to eat. God will understand. Nope. God warned you through the mouth of his prophets not to take the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip implant. All right. So reading this article, it says Trump rule targets legal immigrants who rely on food stamps and other aid. See, these so-called white people, the Edomites of the Bible, they're going to start showing their horns and they're going to show you how much they hate you. And they already been doing that. They already been gunning you down and getting off scot-free. They're showing you the hate. They've been doing it for thousands of years. They've been doing it since we left out of Egypt, when they didn't let us cut through their land as a shortcut to get to the promised land of Israel, which belongs really to who? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, because we are the true biblical Israelites according to the Bible, not those people that's in the land currently. So let's get into this real quick. So this is based off of a conference that happened on Monday at the White House, August 12th, 2019. All right, so this is from the Washington Journal. This is from the New York Times. It says the Trump administration will penalize legal immigrants who rely on public programs such as food stamps and government subsidized housing as part of a sweeping new policy to slow legal immigration into the United States to reduce the number of immigrants who are granted permanent legal status. The move will have the greatest impact on poor immigrants who are living in the country legally and are receiving public benefits from the government, forcing them to make a choice between accepting financial help and living and working in the country legally. It will probably not affect immigrants who already have green cards. The United States wants immigrants who can support themselves according to the rule, not those who depend on public resources to meet their needs according to the new rule. So pretty much, these so-called white people, they don't want to give the ones of you that's here legally, they don't want you leeching off the government pretty much. Even though according to the scriptures, the scriptures tell you, use the world, don't abuse it. Brothers in the truth, sisters, if you on the government assistance programs, you can, use that to your advantage. All right, as long as you're not doing it in a malicious way, But these Edomites, they don't want you on it no more, pretty much. They just want you to survive based off of, the little pay that you get. And most so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians, they're paid under the table. They're getting less than minimum wage. So pretty much they just want to put you back into slavery. All right. So it says the regulation, which is scheduled to go into effect in 60 days, which is roughly 2 months, will provide the Trump administration a powerful new tool to narrow the demographic of people who come to live and work in the country. Immigration advocates have pledged to sue the administration in an attempt to block the new regulation from going into effect. Tens of thousands of people opposed the rule in a public comment period over the past several months. The regulation, also known as the Public Charge Rule, was published in the Federal Register Monday morning with the following acknowledgement. While some commenters provided support for the rule, the vast majority of commenters opposed the rule. All right, so, you could check out the rest of this article. But, this is Jacob's trouble. This is what's getting ready to come. All these blackouts that's been happening, they're pretty much showing you, look, the elites of the society, they're getting old. It's time to kick it up into gear with the New World Order agenda, Revelation 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, which is a so-called white man, woman, and child, according to the Bible, because they deceived the world. They deceived the world to thinking the Lord looked like this, that the angels look something like this, that the God of Israel is a so-called white man. You got that famous painting with Michelangelo. They deceived the world. Deceived the world to thinking that they was the chosen people. But according to the Bible, they not. And they don't link up with the prophecies in the Bible of what would happen to the chosen people. Instead, they're profiting and they're the richest ones in the world. It says, it's come down unto you, having great wrath. And that's what's happening. All right? That's why it's saying what? Trump rule targets legal immigrants who rely on food stamps. We're not even talking about the illegal ones. We're talking about the ones that's legal with the green cards. The ones that have American citizenship. Goes to show you how much, these so-called white people hate you so-called Hispanics and Native American Indians. Why? Because y'all Israelites. Y'all descendants of Jacob. It says, come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So the time is short. All right, you look at the age of the Rothschilds and the elite banking families, they don't really have much time left. So they got to hurry up and establish this New World Order. And this is what they plan to do by taking the benefits away from you people. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse, I'm just going to get to the point, 7. Because you might ask yourself, you might be like, well, wait a minute. There's more, quote unquote, Caucasians on, like food stamps and government assistance than Israelites, the sea line of the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Look, I don't really care about that because I'm prophesying to my people. When the Lord raised up a prophet, he raised up a prophet to what? Speak down the ears of my people the word of prophecy. That's what I'm doing. So I'm only focused on my people. That's why I'm doing the video. I don't care about Caucasians. All right? This is Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right? It's a time of trouble that's getting ready to happen. Got a lot of our people, they went to college. They try to do the best that they could do in the society. They try to do everything the right way. Go to school, get married. They went to college, had kids. But now they're going to realize their whole life was in vain when this global economic collapse happens. They said roughly it's estimated that there's going to be over 12,000 store closures. This is going to affect everybody. When shit really hit the fan, when that next false flag attack happens, which most likely is going to be an attack on the cyber grid, this is going to happen. It's going to affect everybody. Because people don't care about nothing until they actually in that situation. Then you want to cry out to God. You want to cry out to quote-unquote Jesus. But you lived your whole life not giving a fuck. So the God of Israel, he's not going to give a fuck about you and 2/3 of the nation of Israel. That's prophesied, according to Zechariah 13:8, to be destroyed. Why would he care about you? You don't care about him. It says, but he shall be saved out of it, referring to the elect of the nation of Israel. The brothers that teach this word, the Hebrew Israelites that teach the correct doctrine. And a lot of you women, you're in trouble. Because a lot of you feel like you don't need a man because of these government benefits. You treat the men of your nation like shit. I'm mainly talking about you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian women. You sold us out for the benefits of white supremacy, pretty much. All right? A lot of you, all you do is care about your career. You don't know how to be a woman. You don't know how to take care of your man. You wasn't even raised like that. Your mother sucks. Your grandmother sucks. Your grandmother's mother suck. Y'all don't know how to be woman. Y'all don't know how to take care of y'all man, to serve y'all man. Like the scripture is saying, Genesis 3:16. Your desire as a woman is supposed to be unto your husband. A lot of you don't give a fuck about that. A lot of you walk around just hoes. You know, you got this cheap ass rent that y'all pay for because y'all got these vouchers from the government. And y'all just living scot-free. Meanwhile, the men of your nation is slaving and y'all don't have nothing to offer. Can't even help a brother out. This is Isaiah 32:9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Y'all at ease right now. Why? Because y'all feel like y'all liberated. Because of feminism. Because of what the so-called white man has done. Divide and conquer. Putting a woman above the man, which is out of order. To the point where you women actually think you're equal to a man. You're not. Anytime you got to have, a protest, women's liberation. Anytime you got to do that, obviously you're not equal. And it's not to discredit the women of our nation, but it's called having order. And that's something that y'all lack, and that's something that y'all lost. But when this global economic collapse happens, y'all gonna get right in line. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. The daughters of Jerusalem all careless. Just look at them. Look at the way how they dress. Look at the way they act. Listen to the logic reasoning when you're talking to these bitches. Just listen to them. Out of order. Give ear unto my speech. Listen to the Lord. The Lord speaks to his prophets. Luke 1:70. Many days and years shall you be troubled. This is what's going on in Venezuela. This is what's going on in different parts of the world. This is what's getting ready to go down here. See, we look at all these other countries like, oh man, it's rough over there. Oop, let me go back to being wicked and doing what I'm doing. But when you actually in that situation here, then you're going to start giving a fuck. So it says, many days and years shall you be troubled, ye careless woman, for the vintage shall fail, referring to these government benefits. It's going to fail you, all right? And that's why the scripture is saying, Micah 7:10, she is my enemy, then she shall see it. You got a lot of quote-unquote sisters that was with Hebrew Israelite men, all right? You knew what your man was about. You knew your man was in the truth. And you ain't give a fuck. You still wanted to be westernized and be wicked. What the hell you think is going to happen? You're going to lose all your benefits. You're going to have nobody but to blame but yourself. And you're going to be brutally killed, according to the Bible. The gathering shall not come. Nobody's not going to come to save you. Not even a so-called white man who majority of y'all worship. Y'all don't even realize y'all ignorantly worship the white man. Some of y'all willingly do it. Verse 11, tremble ye women that are at ease. I'm going to tremble. That's the times that we coming into. Be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you, make you bare, gird sackcloth upon your loins. That's what's getting ready to happen. It's going to be the end to feminism, liberated woman, which a woman being liberated, it leads to whoredom. And the God of Israel is against whoredom. It leads to hoes and bitches, quote unquote, which you see in the media today. Women walking around with tight-ass clothing. You can see they camel toe. They showing their titties, being provocative, but then they'll tell you they got a boyfriend. You know? It's crazy. Encouraging sin. This is why the God of Israel is going to destroy this place with thermonuclear missiles. This is what's getting ready to come. 2nd Ezra 15:14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword will front of martial law, and the destruction draweth nigh. And you can tell by these different, bills that's being signed, these different things that's getting ready to go into effect. And one people shall stand up against another. These are end time prophecies I'm reading. All right? The different race wars, white versus black, Hispanic versus white, like how you see on YouTube. It says, one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. That's what we coming into, the times of civil unrest, where people are going to need questions. They're going to ask questions, and it's not going to be answered. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Like how you see The Purge, different movies, people breaking into people's houses, stealing their shit, stealing their resources. That's the times that we come into. It says, and invading one another, they shall not regard their princes, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the cost of their actions shall stand in their power. People are going to not care about the Constitution and the different laws and regulations. Why? Because in this time that we come into, even the police is going to go out of business. They're going to have to be worrying about their own families and stuff. Remember, these police officers, they got lives too. So people are going to not care. That's why you got gun sales is at an all-time high. People forming militias. People doomsday prepping, building bunkers, going to the mountains to live out there. That's already starting to begin. Verse 17, and all this is going to lead to martial law. People being angry at the government. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go in the city and shall not be able to, because these cities are going to be cut off. He won't be able to travel. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. You know, a neighbor is somebody that comes from your lineage, but shall destroy their houses with sword. You know, referring to the civil unrest, referring to martial law, the different executive orders, like Executive Order 13603. It says, and spoil their goods because of a lack of bread for great tribulation, because a famine is going to come across this land. All right? So, you know, the Lord, he's going to be with his men, according to Revelation chapter 3, verses 10 to 11. But the rest of you people, you're going to suffer. Shalom.